विकसित होने का मौका मिला और इसी कारण यहाँ संजय नेशनल पार्क बनाया गया है, जिसके तहत सफेद बाघों की जन्मभूमि संजय डुबली टाइगर रिजर्व, जो जंगल के राजा बाघ के साथ अन्य अनेक वन्य प्राणियों संरक्षण एवं संवर्धन का कार्य कर रहा है। साथ ही साथ सोन घड़ियाल अभयारण्य, जो दुनिया की केवल उन 4 जगहों में से एक है जहां घड़ियालों को उनके प्राकृतिक आवास में स्वतंत्र रूप से देखा जा सकता है। एडवेंचर के शौकीन और एनिमल लवर के लिए तो मानो यहाँ
I would request all the volunteers out there kindly direct all the people who are standing to kindly take their respective seats in the hall. दोस्तों, हम थोड़ी देर में आज के वर्ल्ड जुबली लेक्चर सीरीज की शुरुआत करेंगे और आशा है कि आपके लिए एटलीस्ट ये आपको एक नई सोच देगा। हम वेट कर रहे हैं हमारे आज के स्पीकर और डिग्निटरीज का, जो कुछ ही देर में हम सबके बीच आने वाले हैं। लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, जिस घड़ी का हम सब इंतजार कर रहे थे वो आ गई है एंड हम सबके बीच प्रस्तुत हो रहे हैं आज के मुख्य वक्ता श्री रवि वेंकटेशन सर, श्री साईराम सर, प्लीज पुट योर हैंड्स टुगेदर फॉर CMD NCL. हम सबके बीच उपस्थित हो रहे हैं डायरेक्टर HR श्री मनीष कुमार सर और हमारे DT सर श्री जितेन मलिक सर, प्लीज जोरदार तालियों से उनका स्वागत कीजिए, अभिनंदन कीजिए। कृपया आप सब अपनी जगह ले लीजिए। थैंक यू। जो भी आज के हमारे अतिथिगण बाहर खड़े हुए हैं, आप लोग हॉल के अंदर आ जाइए और अपनी जगह ले लीजिए। कुछ ही देर में हमारे आज के मुख्य वक्ता हम सबके बीच आने वाले हैं। दोस्तों जोरदार ताली से स्वागत कीजिए। हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं श्री चंद्रशेखर शुक्ला सर, डीएम सिंगरौली। हम गौरवान्वित हैं सर, हम सबके बीच आपको पाकर। हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं श्री मनीष खत्री सर, एसपी सिंगरौली। सर आपका भी हार्दिक स्वागत है।
Hello, Moto.
दोस्तों जोरदार तालियों से शुरुआत कीजिए आज की शाम का। हमारे पास मौजूद हैं आज के हमारे मुख्य वक्ता श्री रवि वेंकटेशन सर। साथ ही साथ उनका अभिवादन कर रहे हैं हमारे कंपनी के मुखिया श्री साईराम सर। साथ ही साथ हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं श्री मनीष कुमार सर, डायरेक्टर एचआर। साथ ही साथ हमारे साथ मौजूद है श्री रजनीश नारायण सर, डायरेक्टर फाइनेंस। हर शाम आती है एक याद लेकर, हर शाम जाती है एक याद देकर, और आज की शाम खास है दोस्तों, ये लाई है हम सबको एक साथ लेकर। जोरदार तालियों से आज हम शाम की शुरुआत करते हैं। और मैं सबसे पहले स्वागत करता हूं आज के हमारे प्रेरणादायक अतिथि वक्ता श्री रवि वेंकटेशन सर का, जिनका कार्यशैली लीडरशिप और ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में एक नया रोल है। साथ ही आई फील ऑनर्ड टू वेलकम श्री साईराम सर, चेयरमैन कम मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर ऑफ नॉर्दर्न कोलफील्ड्स लिमिटेड। आई वेलकम श्री मनीष कुमार सर, डायरेक्टर एचआर। आई वेलकम श्री चंद्रशेखर शुक्ला सर, डीएम सिंगरौली। I welcome Shri Manish Khatri sir, SP Singrauli. I welcome Shri Rajneesh Narayan sir, Director Finance, and I also welcome Shri Jiten Malik sir, our former Director Technical, जिन्होंने कई सारे योगदान दिए इस कंपनी के लिए। साथ ही साथ मैं स्वागत कर परम आदरणीय श्री बीके दुर्गा मैम का, महिला मंडल, साथ ही साथ जेसीसी के जो भी मेंबरान हम सबके बीच मौजूद हैं, एरिया जनरल मैनेजर्स, हमारी मैम्स जो आई हुई हैं, विभिन्न सब्सिडरीज से आए हुए हमारे गेस्ट, मीडिया पर्सन्स, आप सभी का स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है आज के इस गोल्डन जुबली लेक्चर सीरीज में। दोस्तों, आज से 50 वर्ष पहले भारत ने ऊर्जा में आत्मनिर्भर का एक स्वप्न देखा था जब कोल इंडिया का जन्म हुआ था, और 2025 में ये 50 वर्ष पूर्ण हो रहे हैं। इस 50 वर्ष को सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए ये गोल्डन जुबली लेक्चर सीरीज ऑर्गेनाइज की गई है, जिसमें आज हम सबके बीच मौजूद हैं श्री रवि वेंकटेशन सर। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत में, जैसा कि हम सबको पता है, सबसे पहली शुरुआत होती है देवों की स्तुति के साथ। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा श्री सीएमडी सर से, श्री रवि सर से, श्री डायरेक्टर डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर श्री चंद्रशेखर शुक्ला सर से, श्री मनीष खत्री सर से, श्री डायरेक्टर एचआर सर से, श्री डायरेक्टर फाइनेंस सर से कि वे आएं और दीप प्रज्वलन कर इस कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करें। श्री जितेंद्र मलिक सर के, सॉरी सर, मैम प्लीज आप लोग भी ज्वाइन कीजिए प्लीज। वेरी मच सर। आज 26 जुलाई है, हम सबको पता है आज हम 26 जुलाई को याद करते हैं कारगिल दिवस की तौर पर, जहां पे हमारे वीर सैनिकों ने पहाड़ों को जीता, दुश्मनों से एक अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया। सर, कोल इंडिया लिमिटेड भी पहाड़ों से ही जूझता है, पहाड़ों को तोड़ता है, कुछ नए पहाड़ बनाता है। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत में मैं आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि हम एक CIL का एक कॉर्पोरेट गीत देखें।
हमारे मिले कदम, हमारा चौड़ा सीना, विशाल कंधे हमारे, हाथ फौलाद हमारे। हम हैं आग, हम हैं बिजली, हम हैं शक्ति की खान, हम हैं कोल इंडिया हम। अंधेरे से खोद लाते हम उजाले खुशियों के, चट्टाने फोड़
यू सर। सर, आप सबके बीच मैं एक ऐसे मंच को, एक ऐसी प्रस्तुति आपके सबके समक्ष में लाना चाहता हूं जो बेस्ड है ब्रेकिंग द बैरियर्स पे। पहले माइनिंग माना जाता था कि महिलाएं सिर्फ बाहर तक काम करेंगी, महिलाएं अंडरग्राउंड खदान में जाकर के काम नहीं कर सकती थी, रिस्ट्रिक्शंस था समय का। लेकिन को ब्रेक किया गया, इस पूरे थॉट प्रोसेस को चेंज किया गया, एंड उस पे ही बेस्ड है ये प्रस्तुति। शी वॉक्स वेयर रॉक्स ट्रेम्बल। फॉर years, mining sites echoed with the roars of machines, rhythm of drills. But in those echoes, one thing was missing, that was the voice of women. मगर अब वो कमी पूरी हो गई है। Today, women is present in the mine not as a token entry, not as a visitor, but as a torch bearer. From Jharkhand coalfields to Odisha's iron ore zones, from open pit mines of Madhya Pradesh to limestone belts of Chhattisgarh, women are redefining the rules of mining. This is not about gender. This is about grit. She brings with her courage that stands tall even the hazard zone, skill that rivals the sharpest mind, compassion, clarity, and a vision for a sustainable mining. She doesn't seek validation. She brings transformation. This is not about replacing men. ये एक नई सोच है दोस्तों, जहां स्ट्रेंथ और ग्रेस साथ साथ चलते हैं। To every woman who wear overalls and walks the mines, know this: you are not changing your role. You are rewriting the rule book. This is your time. This is your terrain, and this is your triumph. India's mining story is being rewritten, and now it carries your signature, bold, brilliant, and breaking the grounds. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting you a very special performance by Swati Chanam, Preeti Sharma, Shweta Chandra, Somali Sharma, Shivani Misra, and all of them has been choreographed by Kaushik sir. I would request a brave and sounded round of applause from each one of you. Thank you, everyone.
कोयले की तरह तप कर जो खुद को आजमाए, हर कठिनाई में भी मुस्कुराना सिखाए, जिसे देख अंधेरा भी रोशनी से भर जाए, वह नारी ही है जो खुद को हीरा बना जाए।
गन गगन गन गन गगन गन गन गगन गन, हाथों में पिघलता है लोहन गगन गन, ना उम्मीद न कोई लकीर, मेरा सब कुछ मेरा हौसला गगन गन, हिम्मत है मेरी तकदीर, मुझे कम न किसी से कियो, मुझे कम न किसी से कियो, तू न जाने पागलपन गन गगन गन गगन 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 गगन। काटे रहने दे की टहनियों से ख्वाब तोड़ ले, हो काटे रहने दे गुलाब तोड़ ले, नींदों की टहनियों से ख्वाब तोड़ ले, ख्वाहिशों की है कहानियां पढ़ी, चुन ले कहानियां किताब जोड़ ले, एक ही है जिंदगी तो यारा, बढ़ ले दिल का इशारा, सारा बदल दे नजारा, जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, होए जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा। तू जरा लेजी इरादों की तो सुस्तियां छुड़ा ले, दबदबा है तेरा, राहों की मुश्किलों से कुश्तियां लड़ा ले, जो होगा सो होगा, होने देना घबराना, तू अपनी कोशिश में कंजूसी ना कर जाना, किस्मत की लहरों पे यारा, लेके निकल तो शिकारा, चमकेगा तेरा भी सितारा। जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा, होए जगा ले तू जगा ले जज्बा।
कैसा लगा परफॉर्मेंस? ये जो सुपरस्टार्स आप सबके सामने परफॉर्म कर रहे थे दोस्तों, ये हमारे इन हाउस आर्टिस्ट हैं। दे हैव बीन ट्रेन्ड वर्किंग टाइमलेसली एंड दे आर द स्पाउस ऑफ आवर एम्प्लॉइज ऑफ कोल इंडिया लिमिटेड। तो एक बार और ताली बनती है हमारे अपने टैलेंट के लिए। From now, I invite Shri Sairam. जमीन के सीने से रोशनी चुराई है हमने, अंधेरों से दोस्ती पर रोशनी भी बनाई है हमने। 50 साल का सफर है, सिर्फ कारनामे नहीं, ये कहानी है उन लोगों की जिन्होंने मिट्टी को सोना बनाया है। दोस्तों, just to give a brief introduction about today's event, I would like to call upon stage our leader, Shri Sairam sir, Chairman cum Managing Director, Northern Coalfields Limited.
Good evening, dear Ravi ji, esteemed guests, DM sir, SP sir, my fellow directors, all the general managers, and ladies. Welcome to the gathering. Sir, won't take much time. We are eager to hear from you. Incidentally, the bottom line is that sir has worked with Bill Gates. So sir, from your words, we will be eager to listen to one or two anecdotes from your conversation with Bill Gates, so that we can also take a leaf out of his performance, his lifestyle, his ethics, and all that, sir. This is the CIL's Golden Jubilee journey, sir. In 1975, a company named Coal India was actually born. From a meager 79 million ton coal production in 1975, as it stands now, it is a 783 million ton company. So from 79 to 783, it is a tenfold increase in 50 years, sir. As it stands now, the PBT is 47,000 crores, PAT 35,000 crores, EBITDA 51,800 crores, EBITDA margin 45,000 crores, value added 98,000 crores. Being public sector, dividend matters because 67% of our dividend goes to the government. The total dividend paid 16,300 crores. Dividend payout ratio 45%, and contribution to the state and central exchequer a whopping 60,000 crore rupees. So from a tiny coal company to a big coal behemoth, this is our 50 years journey, sir. And what are our national duties? We provide 75% electricity. We provide fuel to the 75% electricity that is generated across the geographical boundary of the country, sir. And then we take care of our 2.2 lakh employees. Then there is the other side of the coin as well, which is the social motive, which is other than the profit motive, where we look beyond these EBITDA margins and P ratios, sir. Last year we spent 735 crore rupees towards this community development. So the care for the community, giving back to the society, the care for the environment, all these put together, sir. 40 lakh saplings were planted last year, and in the RE space, we generated 120 million units of solar energy, sir, last year. Something about the coal's importance in the socio-economics of this country. There are 748 districts in India, sir, and 40% of them, means 300 districts, are dependent on this coal or coal-fired plants or coal-based industries for jobs and funds. And 40 districts across the 9 states, they actually the coal-producing states, sir. And 36 lakh people are employed in coal and coal-based industries, power industries, directly or indirectly put together, sir. And one more thing, Indian Railways earns 45% of their freight revenue from coal only. Our scale of operations, we are present in central and eastern part of India mostly, the West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, and then Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, WCL, Western means Maharashtra, and some part of Telangana also. But our coal goes everywhere, to every nook and corner, far south to Tuticorin and Innor, to the Mundra power plant of Tatas, and everywhere we stand our coal, sir. And you will start finding our coal in the eastern ports as well, because we have opened that sea route as well. From Gangavaram, Vizag, Paradeep, Gopalpur, Dhamra, the coal will be shipped, and then the ship will go all around from the Bay of Bengal to Indian Ocean and then to the Arabian Sea and reach to the Mundra port or Tuticorin port, sir. So we are present not in the land but also in the sea part as well. So with these few things about my company, I once again extend hearty welcome to each one of you, sir, and let us look forward to an engaging and enriching time together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. You all were hearing about the achievements of Coal India. Sir, this entire achievement is based on 3 pillars. three M's. One are our men. Second is my machines. And third is the motivation that drives these two. To start with today's event, we have a very short, brief introduction about our respected guest. I would request my technical team to have a video introduction of our speaker, Shri Ravi Venkatesan sir, please.
Its flagship subsidiary Northern Coalfields Limited is honored to organize the Golden Jubilee Lecture Series. NCL is proud to welcome Shri Ravi Venkatesan, a leader whose journey spans the worlds of business, innovation and social transformation. Chairman of the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, a mission to accelerate clean energy transitions in developing nations. Founder of the Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, empowering millions of youth to become job creators, and has led some of the most respected institutions, from Microsoft India and Bank of Baroda to Cummins and Infosys. He is also the best-selling author of 2 powerful books that guide individuals and organizations to thrive in turbulent times. He is an IIT Bombay graduate, a Purdue engineer, a Baker Scholar from Harvard Business School, and also named among India's best management thinkers by Thinkers 50, and honored as Microsoft's Alumni Hero of 2020. Please join us in welcoming the visionary leader, the changemaker, Shri Ravi Venkatesan to Urja Dhani Singrauli here with us at the Coal India Golden Jubilee Lecture Series.
So I hope आप सब सर का सीवी देख के इम्प्रेस तो हुए होंगे एंड आपके अंदर एक्साइटमेंट बहुत ज्यादा आ रही होगी कि सर शुरू करते हैं. So before we start that knowledge sharing session, I would request CMD NCL Shri Sai Ram sir to kindly come forward and felicitate our guest speaker with Angavastra, Shrifal and bouquet. Sir, please. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our guest lecture today.
Sir. Thank you. Can I get this? Madam, we'll take this later. Thank you. Namaste. Can I start? Oh, okay.
So, अब आप सबका इंतजार खत्म होता है. हम लोग अपने नॉलेज डीप डाइव सेशन जो भी आने वाले 1 से 1.5 घंटे होंगे हम उसमें शुरू करेंगे. दोस्तों, बिफोर आई हैंड ओवर टू आवर गेस्ट स्पीकर टुडे, आप सबके लिए गुड न्यूज है. गुड न्यूज इज कि दिस सेशन इज गोइंग टू बी इंटरेक्टिव सेशन, राइट? सो आपके मन में डाउट्स, आइडियाज, जो भी चीजें आप डिस्कस करते हैं, यू विल गेट a personally signed book by our guest speaker, whosoever asks the question, and that should be autographed by the speaker himself. So, आप सबको और ज्यादा इंतजार न करवाते हुए, put your hands together and welcome our today's speaker, Shri Ravi Venkatesan sir. Sir, mic is all yours.
Thank you. Presentation. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries. I'm Just so pleased to be here today with all of you. I'm standing here on this stage feeling so many emotions. First of all, I'm so joyous to be here in beautiful Singrauli. It's a part of the country I'm visiting for the first time. Second, I feel so honored that you have invited me to deliver this Golden Jubilee lecture. In the last 2 days, many of you have shown me so much affection, so much kindness, taking me to Hanuman Mandir and Jwalamukhi Mandir and sitting with me and with endless cups of tea and cashews explaining what mining is all about. And I've learned so much. I've made so many new friends. I feel incredibly welcomed. I feel incredibly touched. So thank you so much. And of course, the CMD has described your contributions to the country, its economy, its people, which I didn't know. Most Indians don't know how much Coal India gives to the country. So thank you. Thank you very much. So I was thinking, what should I talk about? Originally, I was thinking since I'm also the founder and chairman of the Global Energy Alliance, which is trying to get the world to move away from coal towards renewable energies. So I said, maybe I'll talk about what a post-coal future would look like and how do we prepare for it. But then I went to your Coal India website and I said, there's nothing I can say that is new. You're already thinking about all the right things, you're already doing them. So I said, let me change my topic. And fortunately, the chairman also agreed with me yesterday that this is a far more relevant topic, which is, what the heck should I do with my life? Okay. The reason I chose this topic, of course the book has the same title, is because in my life, many, many times, I found myself stuck and wondering, what should I do with my life? And these days, when I talk to lots of people, I find everybody has this question. So you take a 15-year-old young person, they're trying to think about what should I study, what path should I choose that will get me a job, what should I do with my life? You take somebody who's 40 years old, midlife. Typically that's when the midlife crisis comes. They're disappointed. They thought, my life would be different, my life would be better. You see all these influencers on social media, they all appear to be successful. Everybody is getting ahead except me. What should I do with my life? And then as you turn 55, as you turn 60, you say, Are, I'm supposed to be retiring, but I still feel like I'm 40. I have the same energy. I don't want to retire, but nobody wants to give me a job. What should I do with my life? So this question comes up at every stage, which is why I thought today I'll talk about this. I'll talk about how the world is changing. You know, sitting here in Singrauli, being in this cozy company called Coal India, which takes care of all your needs, sometimes it's not easy to see what is happening in the world outside. And a lot of these trends are not very positive trends. So I said, let me talk about them, talk about how this will affect every one of our lives, and most importantly, how we can prepare for this so that we are successful. So that's what I'm going to talk about for about 30-40 minutes. Okay, so these are some of the topics that I'll be touching on. 5-6 ideas. By the way, my main idea is to get you to think, and then Dinkar will facilitate a discussion. And really, that's where the value is, where you challenge what I said, or you ask questions to clarify. I think that's where we'll get value. So, this is a picture that I think everybody knows. It was the event 65 million years ago when a big asteroid or comet hit the Earth with the force of 100,000 atomic bombs. Should I move to the side? Okay. So, on that day, when the comet hit the Earth, 95% of all living things died. And then, of course, the climate changed. For 1,000 years after that, there was no sunlight, so all plants died. And everything, including these big dinosaurs, perished and became extinct because there was no food left. They could not adapt fast enough. Now, interestingly, some very small animals managed to not only survive, they went underground and they managed to do okay. And then when they came out, the planet was empty. And so they became very quickly the most prolific dominant species on the earth. And these animals were the early mammals who were the ancestors of all of us. So we are here today because of this event which killed off the dinosaurs and allowed mammals to become most successful. Which is why I use that phrase. If you can't adapt like the dinosaurs, you perish. If you can adapt like mammals, you flourish. So, why do I use this example of dinosaurs and 65 million years ago and all that? Because what is happening today is very similar. The world is changing really, really fast, really, really dramatically, and the world is going to change more in this 21st century. This 100 years, it will change more than in all the previous 10,000 years. And this is creating a challenge. This creates a challenge for us as individuals. It creates a challenge for companies like yours. It creates a challenge for the country and for the whole planet. So, as Charles Darwin, who's the father of evolution, says, in nature, the one that survives is neither the strongest nor the most intelligent, but the one that can adapt. So, the whole topic is, why is this change happening? How do we adapt? And by the way, I love that statement by the German philosopher Nietzsche, who says, a snake which is unable to shed its skin and grow a new skin must die. So like that snake, we all have to learn to shed our skin and grow new skins. So why is there so much change all of a sudden? After all, we've had a good 50, 75 years which was stable and so forth. What's happening right now is we are in the middle of a perfect storm where 3 or 4 trends are coming together and colliding. One of the big trends is, as you might expect, climate change. So already the world is, on average, the temperature is 1.5 degrees centigrade above its long-term average. It is likely to Celsius above the long-term average. That is a catastrophe, because what it will mean is our peak temperatures in central India, no country is more affected by this than our own because of where we are, because of our size, and so on. So our peak temperatures will be well into the 50s, maybe even crossing 60. Not only that, we see this phenomenon called heat domes, where even at night, the temperature doesn't cool down. It remains in the high 30s. India is critically dependent for our food on the monsoons. Most of our agriculture is still rain-fed. As the climate change changes our weather patterns, we don't know what will happen to the monsoons, but we know it will change. Sea levels will rise. Mumbai will be underwater. Bangladesh will be mostly underwater. There'll be lots of migration. And that migration means a lot of conflicts. So this climate change, which is beginning to play out, we already see the early changes, is one of the most important things that's going to happen in the next 100 years. The second thing that's happening is technology. And I'll be talking much more about AI. But AI is becoming better than most human beings at many, many things. But wait till I get to the AI section. What that means is there will be fewer people with jobs. What are the rest of us supposed to do? Already in our country, there is a big challenge of employment. 30% of our youth who are below the age of 30 don't have a job. And that includes people who are graduates of IITs and IIMs. So AI is going to come in and we don't know what that will do. So that's the second thing. The third big force or trend is demographics. So the good news is most of us are living longer. where the life expectancy was 70 years. Now for at least people like us who have a good diet, good health care, we can expect to live into our 80s and 90s. And some of us will live to be 100. Now that's a happy thing, but it also means there's a big change, because companies like younger and younger employees. Young employees who have energy, they cost less, and they have all these digital skills. So what are you supposed to do after you're 45? So that demographic challenge is also there. And the final thing I'll talk about, there are many trends, is what is called polarization or divisions. In every country in the world today, there are deep, deep, deep divides. Any of you who've been seeing what's happening in America in the last 9 months would see it's a country where the two sides cannot even bear to be in the same country. And on average, an American has 2.5 guns. Okay? So you can imagine how this can play out. And this is true not only in America, it's true in Germany, it's true in England, it's true in our own country. Even our own country, we are profoundly divided like never before. And why this matters is, just as we have to come together as one to work on these issues, we find ourselves divided and not fully trusting each other. So for all these reasons, this century is going to be a very, very turbulent, very, very challenging time. And we all need to, as they say in the airplane, fasten your seat belts, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, what are some of the ways in which we can prepare for this future and do well in the future? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is mindset, preparing the right mindset. What is mindset? Mindset is nothing but the beliefs and assumptions that we have, mostly in our subconscious mind, about everything. First of all, about ourselves. Am I good? Do I think I'm smart? Do I think I'm capable? Do I think I'm deserving of respect and love? All these things are our beliefs in our mind. Do I believe you are a good person? I can trust you. What is my belief about what is success, what is failure, how the world works, is it fair or not? So these beliefs, which are there in our subconscious, determine everything that happens to us. How we show up in the world, how we interact with each other, what we strive for, what we aim for, because that depends on what we decide is success. For somebody, success means making a lot of money. For somebody else, it's having the largest number of followers on Instagram. Whatever that success is, that belief is what drives you. And the most important thing is, this is the software that runs your life. Think of it as the software program that is running your life. And as Wayne Dyer, who's a great teacher, said, nothing is as it is. Okay? Everything is as we are. And if we can change the way we see things, the things we see change. Reality changes as I see you differently. For instance, I'll give you an example. I had a very difficult relationship with my late mother. Like all Indian mothers, she loved me very much, but she was very controlling. And as I grew up, I didn't want to be controlled anymore. So we had a lot of clashes. And then she came to live with me because, she was getting old. And one day I went to a therapist, and he said, look, the problem is very simple. You have to learn to accept her as she is. Stop trying to change her. So I changed my mindset, and the relationship became beautiful. So my point is, as you change your thinking, your beliefs, your reality can also change. So I love this quote. You asked me to talk about Bill Gates. He was not the easiest man to work with and for, but I learned a lot. One of the things he said is, what you believe is what you achieve. So if you believe you can do something, if you can believe you can get to 150 million tons next year, you'll probably achieve it. If you don't believe it, you won't even try, and therefore you certainly won't achieve it. So this mindset turns out to be the most important thing. And mindset is many different types of things. One of the most important things is self-belief. Do I believe that I am capable, I am good, I can be successful or not? And I want to illustrate that with my own story. So that little picture in the bottom, that black and white picture is me in 1968, 5 years old. And it was not a good beginning. So as a child, I was very, very, very shy. I had no self-confidence. I was not good at studies. I was terrible at sports, and I had no friends. So this was not very good at all. So my teachers were very worried. My mother was very worried that, you know, is this child ever going to be a success as an adult? Things changed when I reached 6th standard. So I had a teacher, 6th standard teacher called Mrs. Malhotra, to whom I'll be forever grateful. One day she said, Ravi is going to be a great scientist. Now, when I look back, there was nothing that said that I was going to be a great scientist. There was no data. But she said it. And I started believing her. I started believing that I was destined to be a good scientist. So I started reading science. Near our house was a big library, government library. So I went and started reading all science books. And pretty soon, by 8th standard, I was reading college-level physics and chemistry and all that. So naturally, I started coming first. Now, I suddenly had a lot of friends because they needed help with the homework. So I started doing better and better. Those days, if you were good, you had to be either a doctor or an engineer, maybe a chartered accountant. So everybody said, oh, it's clear Ravi has to go to IIT. So I studied hard and ended up there. That was a shock because most of the other people in IIT were much smarter than me. So suddenly I said, oh, I have to work twice as hard as them in order to keep up. I did. Those days, there were no jobs in our country good for people like us. So everybody went to the United States, and I did too. I ended up with a company called Cummins Engine Company, which makes diesel engines that power a lot of your BML equipment and so forth. And in 1996, at 32, I became the youngest MD of Tata Cummins. Okay, and I came back to Jamshedpur to build the business. The only reason I got that job at 32 was because nobody else wanted it. It was a failing company. The job was to close it. I was very young, very foolish. I refused to close it. We actually fixed the business. It became very successful. Anyway, in 2003, something strange happened. Microsoft came to me and said, would you like to be the CEO and chairman to build the business in India? And I think I was telling you, Mr. Sairam, I went to meet Mr. Bill Gates, and I said, the only reason I'm here is because I will never get to meet you again. And in fact, I don't even do my own email. My secretary, PA, prints the email, I write and give it back to him. So I'm not the right person. Anyway, he disagreed. I joined the company. Over the next 8 years, we built it to something significant. Most people thought I would fail, including Mr. Narayan Murthy, who was a mentor, my mother, my wife. Everybody said, don't do this, you'll fail. I said, look here, you're 40 years old. Even if you try and you fail, it's okay. What I will really regret is if you're 50 and you had a chance and you didn't take it. Anyway, in 2011, I decided I don't want to be an employee anymore, answering to someone. I'm going to go try my own things. So I left without a job, without any plan, and I tried many, many things over these 10, 15 years. And many interesting things happened. So I joined the board of Infosys. Somewhere along the way, the company got into trouble. So I had to become the co-chairman and land the plane safely. Then in 2015, Mr. Raghuram Rajan, who was the RBI governor, called me. And he said, Ravi, will you please become the first private sector chairman of a public sector bank and turn that around? I said, Raghu, I don't know anything about banking. I don't know anything about public sector. I'm not the right person. He listened and then he said, look, would you do worse than the people who damaged the bank? So I said, that's a pretty good argument. I'll try. So anyway, I got all these good opportunities. And then 2-3 years ago, I stopped doing all those things. And at the age of 59, I started the Global Energy Alliance and all these things. Why am I telling you this long story? Not to boast about myself. I want you to read that quote in red, which is, a person's potential is neither known nor is it possible to know. You can never ever predict what somebody can achieve through years of passion, hard work, and I would add good luck. And I think my own life at every stage is an example of this. We never know what we are fully capable of. And mostly we limit ourselves because we don't think we will succeed, that we may fail. Okay? So the point I'm trying to say is, don't hold yourself back. You're capable of much, much more than you can ever imagine. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about on self-belief. The other mindset issue is really important. It is the difference between what is called a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Now, a lot of people have a fixed mindset. How can you tell whether you have a fixed mindset? Well, first of all, a person with a fixed mindset believes everything is determined at birth. Okay, not just your horoscope chart, but also what you're good at. Somebody is born good at maths, somebody is born good at music, somebody else is useless at this, and those things are basically determined at birth. And after that, nothing much can be changed. The second thing about person with a fixed mindset is they're afraid to fail. And because they're afraid to fail, they never take on risky things which may or may not work out. When somebody gives them, their manager or wife or somebody gives them feedback, they get extremely defensive and angry because it feels like an attack on their own character. They like everything to be predictable. So these are the qualities of a person with a fixed mindset. If you recognize yourself in this, it's time to change. Because in this century with so much change, a fixed mindset will not help you. What is a growth mindset? A person with a growth mindset says, look, what I'm born with is just a starting point. In no way does it determine where I end up. And they say, look, with hard work, many things are possible. I don't know. They love learning. And so they're always willing to try new things. And if they fail, they say, that's only the price of learning. We'll keep going. If you give them feedback, they say, great, it's an opportunity to improve. And if somebody is doing amazingly well, instead of feeling jealous, they say, I want to be like her. I'm going to try harder. So the important thing to realize is, it doesn't matter if you have a fixed mindset, you can change this. This is the programming that I talked about. You can change the program. And if you're interested in the Q&A, we can talk about it. Now I want to shift to the next topic, which is the age of AI is already here. How many of you are using on your own some sort of AI tool like ChatGPT, Gemini, now Airtel is giving Perplexity for free. Can we see? Maybe about a third of the people. So, the thing is about AI is, this wave is moving really, really fast. It's moving like a tsunami. I looked at some examples. Already, AI can do better than even the world's best lawyers at either crafting a legal contract, drafting a legal contract, or analyzing a legal contract. Number two, AI can do better than 80% of doctors today in the world on diagnostics. You give it the data, the MRI scan or the X-ray or whatever, and it'll do better than 80% of doctors. Just 3 days ago, a friend of mine had a problem with sugar. Even though she was taking 4 insulin injections, the sugar was very, very unstable. So I said, look, you better go to a diabetologist. But out of curiosity, I put her insulin dosages into ChatGPT. I put her blood sugar readings 4 times a day for 1 week into ChatGPT. And it says, look, you've got a problem. Your insulin dosages are completely wrong. You need to increase basal insulin, and you need to increase your rapid insulin in this way. We tried it, dramatic. So it's just so easy, so powerful. Last week, OpenAI won the Maths Olympiad. The International Maths Olympiad is the highest prize. It's the Olympic medal for mathematics. And it was won not by a human, but by AI. This was predicted to happen in 10 years. It is happening 10 years earlier. Right now, Google and Microsoft are generating 1/3, 30% of their code using AI, not people. So what this means is AI is becoming rapidly more capable. And while the human will always, not always, for a long time be there in the loop, what it means is one human will supervise a team of 2 people and 10 agents. Okay, our workforce tomorrow is going to be a combination of humans and AI agents. So what does this mean for us? It means 3-4 things. One is you absolutely have to start learning how to use AI well. Whether the company is using it or not, out of your own interest, you need to start using it. As they say, your job won't be taken by AI. Your job will be taken by a person using AI. So you want to be that person, okay? So start using these tools. They're incredibly easy. There is no reason to have any barrier. Point number 2, there is no room anymore for being average at your work. See, in our generation, if you had a college degree, you were willing to work reasonably hard, life was made. Once you got into the job, you steadily rise through the ranks. At some point, you plateau, whatever. But today, that will not work. If you're not exceptional at what you do, somebody who is exceptional using AI will take your job very soon. So the trick is to find something you're good at. The world doesn't need average engineers. What it needs is people who are really good at something. So many of my classmates now who studied engineering with me at IIT, they're comedians, they're musicians, they're writers, they're environmentalists. They moved on to doing something which they love and they're good at. So particularly as you tell your children, your young people, what should you do? Don't tell them to become engineer, doctor, CA and all that. Tell them you should do what you love and be really good at it. In addition, you have to do 2 more things. One is you have to be more human. Now, as that Nobel Prize winner says, if you don't want to be replaced by a machine, stop acting like a machine. The problem is our education system was designed in the 19th century. It hasn't really changed. And it teaches us to learn facts, and it teaches us to solve structured problems. Unfortunately, those are the exact things that AI is really good at. So it is not helping us at all for the AI age. If you take a look at corporate training, corporate learning, I don't know what it is like at Coal India, but my guess is, again, it provides information, new information, and it teaches you to solve certain kinds of problems. So what we have to do is learn to be more human. What does being more human mean? And how do I learn it? Where do I learn it? See, the truth is, even 50 years from now, there will still be people in the workplace and certainly people in the world. So some skills will never go away. So curiosity will never go away. Communication will not go away. My ability to have empathy and connect with you, Mr. Manish, is something AI will struggle to do. So if you're in a job like yours, or if I'm a salesperson trying to convince you to buy something, that human connect is very important. Solving really complex problems of the sort that a district magistrate has to face 10 times a day is not something that you can automate very easily. So what you have to do is practice and get better at these things. The other point you have is really, really important. Although there will be much fewer jobs in 10 years and 20 years, the good news about the 21st century is there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of problems that are waiting to be solved. And every one of these problems is also a business. So for instance, in Bangalore where I live, we have a huge problem with solid waste, garbage. And we're drowning in our own garbage. All the landfills around Bangalore are full, and the municipality is unable to cope with it. So this seems to be an opportunity for many, many businesses that are able to do solid waste management, segregation, recycling, working with manufacturers like Hindustan Unilever for circular economy, for creating biogas from wet waste. Of course, the regulatory environment is not helping, but there are so many businesses that are waiting to be built around just that problem. But for that, more of our people need to have an entrepreneurial mindset and an entrepreneurial skill set. Fortunately, how many of you think you have to be born an entrepreneur? But entrepreneurs are born, like Bill Gates, Mr. Narayan Murthy, or the Bhavesh Agarwal. How many of you think entrepreneurs are born? Nobody. Good. That's the right answer. Entrepreneurs are made. It's a learned skill like any other skill. So, in my not-for-profit organization called GAME, my co-founder Mekin Maheshwari, since 2016 has been working with government schools, the poorest government schools, to teach children 9 to 12 standard entrepreneurship through a practical program. So today, in 10,000 government schools in 13 states, 1.5 million children are going through this entrepreneurship program. And so many of them today are starting small businesses instead of looking for a job that does not exist. So things like an electric rickshaw repair shop in Noida, or a mobile accessory shop in Chennai. Then there's a girl who started a henna tattoo parlor. These kinds of small businesses that may employ just yourself or maybe 1 or 2 people. This is really, really important. As Prime Minister said, for us to succeed, we need to convert job seekers into job creators. And so that's what we're trying to do through this entrepreneurship curriculum. And even in Coal India, I think what you need is 100 times as much entrepreneurial spirit, because you have so many opportunities. Again, I was talking to CMD yesterday. Whether it is, what is it, overdraft, is it? Overburden. Converting overburden into sand and finding productive uses for it. Or whether it is, regenerative, replanting, reforestation, getting carbon credits and finding a way to make money through that. Or any of these opportunities. It requires some of us to be entrepreneurial and go out, run, and make these businesses happen. So this skill will be incredibly important in the 21st century. Okay, I'm going to talk about another skill, which is the Brahmastra of skills. It's leadership. Now, historically, most of us have confused leadership with power, title, position, and so on and so forth. So we say so and so mantri ji hai, so leader hai, ya koi secretary hai, or somebody is CEO or general manager, whatever, and we call them leaders. Some of them are leaders, but many of them are not leaders, because when you look at their behavior, it doesn't inspire you to follow. You follow only because you have to. Okay? So they may be political, they may lack courage, they may be risk averse, they may be untrustworthy, but yet we call them leadership. This is not going to help us. In the 21st century, leadership is a behavior, not a title. It is how you act that makes you a leader, which means every one of us is a potential leader, has the capability to be a leader. We've all been, for instance, in a situation where there's a traffic jam, particularly at a railway crossing, and everything gets stuck, and everybody's horning, but nothing is moving. And somebody will quietly get up, stand, start directing traffic, and in 15 minutes, things are starting to move. Nobody knows who he is. Who asked him to do that? What authority does he have? Nothing. That is leadership. And that's the kind of leadership we need to see in our organizations. That's the kind of leadership we need to see in our country if we are really going to become Viksit. So you want people who say, what needs to be done? And we'll just go do it, showing good judgment. In my entire career of nearly 40 years, I never looked at the job description. I just said, what needs to be done? When I got my appointment letter as chairman of Bank of Baroda, I was shocked. It was 5 pages. 3.5 pages said what I cannot do. Okay? What decisions I must not take. So I called up my friend Jayant Sinha, was Minister of State for Finance. I said, Jayant, what is this? How am I supposed to turn around the bank? He says, ignore it, show good judgment, we're with you. So that is the kind of leadership that we need today. And the good news again is, leaders are made, they are not born. Every one of us is a leader, but some of us go through experiences where that becomes much stronger. Sometimes it happens by accident. So imagine some young person, and at early age, at age 9, their father dies. Suddenly your childhood is over, you have to become an adult, you have to share the responsibilities. At that moment it's very difficult, but when you look back, it's what made you strong. Somebody else loses their job. It's a huge blow. But they then decide, chalo yaar, let's try. I've always wanted to start that business. They start that business, eventually it becomes successful. So sometimes you become a leader by accident. The question is, how do you grow leaders intentionally? How do you become more of a leader? So I worked 5 years for UNICEF, the Children's United Nations Children's Fund. And we used to do a lot of our work in India, particularly in places like Punjab, with the poorest kids, okay, Dalit kids from very poor backgrounds, and we wanted to make them leaders. But we didn't call it leadership. So our youth volunteers would go into a school and say, "Arey, what's your problem here?" And they would say something like, "The school toilet has been broken for 2 years. And I've complained to the teacher, nobody is doing anything, principal also doesn't care. And it's a big problem, go in the field, particularly if you're a girl student, whatever." So we said, "Look, why don't you fix it?" And they first look at you with shock. "How am I supposed to fix it? Are you crazy?" Then we say, "Look, next Monday come back with 4 other friends who also have the same problem." And then we help them fix it. And suddenly, the light bulb goes off. I can also solve my own problems. I don't have to wait for somebody else to come and help me. And then we give them a bigger challenge. And this is how we make them into change makers, change leaders. I did the same thing in Bank of Baroda. So we had a huge issue, typical public sector organization, same people issues. One of the most important experiments we did, which succeeded, was we started a new leadership program then in 2016 called We Lead. We had 5,400 officers and we put all of them through some sort of leadership program, but that was not the important thing. Out of the 5,400, we picked about 540, 10%, where we saw that they had some leadership qualities. And then we put them into project teams of 4 or 5 people and gave them very, very, very tough challenges. So I was telling Dinkar today, one of the challenges was, in those days, Bank of Baroda, to open a new account would take 14 days before you got your passbook and debit card. If you go to ICICI Bank, you'll get it in the same day, usually within 2 hours. Okay, so 2 hours, 14 days. So we gave this team a challenge. Can you do it in 2 hours? And they worked together. They eventually did manage to do it. We scaled it to all the branches. Today, if you go to BOB and open an account, that'll be done. So some teams succeeded. Many teams did not succeed. That was not the point. The point is, suddenly we saw who is a leader. And we found about 200 people who were truly high caliber leaders. Most of them were in the middle and junior levels. Some of them were amongst the senior leaders. And then what we did was most important. We took these people and put them in the roles that were the most important. So suddenly, the performance of the bank changed. So that's how you grow leaders. Put them through really difficult challenges and projects and see what happens. That's how my own career developed. I suspect all of you who are leaders on the front row, that's how you came to be where you are. Okay, I'm getting nearly to the end. This one is important. We're living at a time where there are many treacherous situations. So this is the good old game of snakes and ladders that almost all of us would have played at some point in our childhood. I'm assuming you did. So snakes and ladders is very interesting because it's a game of luck, not skill. You throw it, you hit a ladder, you go up, you hit a snake, come down. And to me, it resembles what's happening in life. If you're lucky, you get a good boss, ladder. If you're lucky, you end up deciding to spend your life with the right spouse, another ladder. If you're unlucky, you hit the snake and you come all the way down. This is the game of life. The difference is right now, that board is full of thick snakes, lots of snakes and more snakes. What are these snakes? One of them is there are more and more temptations. Even today, just in the afternoon, I was reading the news. And there's full of stories of people who succumb to either greed or lust. Okay? Just 3 days ago, there was the announcement of Chanda Kochar was found guilty by a higher court of taking a bribe of 64 crores and she has to go to jail. I don't know if anybody here even knows of Chanda Kochar, but 10 years ago, she was one of the most powerful business people, not just the most powerful woman. She was the MD of ICICI Bank, one of the most incredible leaders, self-made in a world of men. She fought her way and came to the top. And one bad decision and her life, her reputation, everything is finished, just finished. Last week, the global news was full of the CEO of an American company, a very successful American company, who was caught accidentally in a compromising position with his own HR person. He was fired, all his money, the company made him return all his money. His family has abandoned him, his life is over. These kinds of situations are becoming more and more common. So more temptations. We also have more and more decisions to make. When I look at the age over here, many of you are close enough to my age, we had fewer decisions to make when we were growing up, right? As I said, if you were going to be successful, you had to be engineer, doctor, chartered accountant, or one or two things. That's it. So very few choices. Your parents would introduce you to someone, and unless something was really wrong, you had to say yes. Few decisions. Once you got into the company, all you did was worked and tried to climb your way. You didn't think about, should I go to that startup, should I go to McKinsey, or all these things. So today there are many, many more choices, and the problem is some of those can be bad decisions. So for all these reasons, okay, then I shouldn't forget this, more and more disinformation. I'm sure as our leader from the police forces will absolutely agree with this. There is more and more disinformation. With AI, that disinformation is so realistic, it is impossible to tell fake from real. You also have lots of so-called influencers who are telling complete rubbish and lies. That include some political leaders. So how is somebody supposed to judge what to believe, what not to believe? This is becoming a huge, huge issue. So one of the things I really focus on in my book and in all my lectures is, what are 2-3 things that you can do to navigate this and make sure you don't hit those snakes? The most important is number 1. It turns out that the 5 people you spend the most time with determine a lot of what happens to you. It determines what you believe. It determines what you think is success. It determines how you feel. Everything. So you have to choose very carefully who these 5 people I spend the most time with. Are they a positive force in my life or not? And you have to change that. The second thing is personal board of directors. So Coal India, for instance, has a very, very good board of directors. What do? They make sure management doesn't make bad decisions, and they offer guidance on important issues. The question is, do you have that for yourself? Who are the people, whenever you're going to make an important decision, will be your sounding board to say, should I do this or not? So for instance, when I was thinking of going and joining Microsoft, I talked to 5-6 people, including my wife, including Mr. Nandan Nilekani and so forth. I don't take important decisions without consulting them. Well, it turned out every one of them said, don't do it, and I did it anyway. But the point is, you're now doing it as a rational decision. So I really, really want you to think about who are the 5 or 6 people who you can turn to so that when you're making an important decision, you make a good one. I'll focus on number 6, luck. I told you snakes and ladders is a game of luck. So is life. We are the ones who have won the lottery. Really. Because imagine that. We're born in a stable country, not in Gaza or Ukraine. We were born in a family where you were loved, where education was important value, right? You ended up in a good job, you have good health. This is luck. How do you ensure that luck keeps happening? Remain lucky. And so the 2 of the techniques that I have found very, very useful and powerful in my life, which I wanted to share. One of them is the practice of gratitude. So every morning when I wake up, my eyes have not yet opened, but my mind is starting to wake up. I try and see how many things can I count that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful I have good health. I'm grateful for my wife, Sonali. I'm grateful for that we don't have to worry about money. Can I get to 13, 14? I do the same thing as I'm going to sleep. It's a good way to fall asleep. The second practice is the practice of paying forward. We are here because of all the people who helped us, right? Now many of them are gone. You can't go back and say thank you, including the food we eat. How many of you thought about the farmers who are growing our food, or the bees that are pollinating the crops that we're eating? There's no way of saying thank you. The only way you can say thank you is to help every person who you meet who needs help. So this is the practice of paying forward, and the more you do it, you'll see how your luck improves. This is the really important thing, and this is almost the end, I promise. Many of us are 50 plus, 55 plus, right? 55 plus. That's a good audience. It's my kind of crowd. So you're contemplating retirement. First thing I'll say is it's a bad idea. You shouldn't retire. Why do I say this? Because in my life I saw a lot of old people get old, and when they stopped being incredibly active and engaged, they deteriorated. My father retired as Secretary DRDO. He never prepared. He was stunned at suddenly that it's like musical chairs, music stopped, no chair. And within 3-4 years, he became sick. Within few years, he was gone. Then I saw my father-in-law. He was a professor of management at IIM Ahmedabad. And he used to teach every day at the Institute till 91. The car would come in the morning, he would go teach one class, sit with the other faculty, come back, have lunch. And he went on till 91 when he lost his hearing. Then he couldn't teach. Within 2 years, he was gone. So for me, the lesson is very powerful, which is till the end, you must be very engaged, not with whatever you want, but retirement and lying around and getting on your spouse's nerves is not a good idea. And you have to believe that age is just a number, and this period of 55 to 75 to 80 is the best time of your life. People are now calling it the third chapter. It used to be that when we were dying early, when lifespans were only 65, 70, you basically studied, you worked, and then you had a few years to enjoy, and then you were gone. Now you're going to live to 90. So you want to be productive till you're at least 80, right? So there's this 30-year period, 25-year period, which is really productive. It's also, I can guarantee it, you'll find this is the best years of your life. So, people who look at happiness, so if you draw a graph of happiness on this axis and age on this axis, it's the shape of an inverted bathtub. You're very happy when you're a child. As you become a teenager, it's less happy. Then you get into your 20s, it's not so happy. Why? Because suddenly you have all these responsibilities. You have to find a job, you have to start a family, you have to support things, you have so much responsibility, you have to make a success of yourselves, all very stressful. And then after 45, 50, things start getting better again. Because now you're wiser. Things don't bother you as much. You've got some financial security. So this period that you're about to enter, 55 to 75, is the best, most productive use of your time, the best time of your life. It's called the third chapter. Now, how do you make the most of your third chapter? Well, one of the things you have to do is find meaning and purpose. There's a beautiful saying by the American writer Mark Twain. He said there are only 2 days that matter in your life. The day you were born and the day when you figured out why you were born. Sad thing is, many of us die without knowing why we were born. And so I'm asking that you should be intentional in figuring out why you exist, whatever that is. I was with Tripathi ji, who was been with last 2 days, one of your colleagues. And I know his purpose. His purpose is to teach mathematics to other people, as many people as possible. And he's just waiting to be able to go back to that full time. So find out what it is that is going to give you the greatest meaning, joy in your life, and devote yourself to it now that you're at that fantastic stage. The other important idea I want to leave you with is the portfolio life. See, the last 30 years, you've been doing only 2 things: work and family. And you were never in control of your time. Somebody else, your boss, somebody else is always in control of your time. And you haven't had time to enjoy yourself enough, pursue your hobbies and interests, and so on. Now that you're approaching that third chapter, you have the gift of flexibility of time. So the way I have arranged my life is I do 4 or 5 things. I still want to earn some money. And so I am on 2 boards that pay me what I need, and I work 3 days a month for that. Then I do the Global Energy Alliance, which gives me a lot of intellectual satisfaction and satisfaction of doing something useful. That takes some time. My wife and I were both CEOs, so we never met much these last 20 years. So now we take lots of trips together. Wherever I go, we go together. So that's the third thing. I spend a lot of time now with music. I used to be a musician. I stopped playing music. Now I bought an accordion. I'm learning music again. So whatever. So you have to figure out your portfolio of your life and learn to live that. I'm going to come to the very last slide, which is a really basic, simple slide, maybe you already know, which is how to be happy. Now, for some people, this is a very strange question. What do you mean how to be happy? It's the most normal thing. It's like cycling. It's no big deal. But for some of us, it's really difficult, and I was one of those. And so I chased happiness. And what I realized is it's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it escapes, the more elusive it is. So that's not a good strategy. What I learned slowly is happiness is actually just a state of mind. It has nothing to do with what you have, what you don't have, what you are or not, whether you're successful or not, makes no difference to whether you're happy or unhappy, because it's something that is manufactured by your own mind. This morning we were coming back from the Hanuman Mandir, and there was that, you must have seen that old man sitting in the corner. So we stopped to give him some money, give him some 5 rupees or something. And he was so happy, he was just blessing us. He was nothing, but he is happier than I am, who has so much. So what I realized is you have to learn to control your thoughts, because it is entirely these negative thoughts that are the source of the unhappiness, not what you have or don't have. And that's where things like Vipassana are so powerful, because you practice not to follow your thoughts. Second thing, as I said, is you have to find purpose. The more you think about yourself, the less happy you are. This is a guarantee. The more you focus on yourself, the more you think of yourself, the more unhappy you are. The more you're able to lose yourself in something, and that something can be raising a child, it can be your work, it can be service, it can be playing music. The more you lose yourself, the more likely you are to be very, very happy. Connecting with people, not just your own closest friends and family. Last night, some of you took me to the Jwalamukhi Mandir. We were sitting there with the Mishra ji, the Pandit, and he was telling all these stories. And we forgot to see the time. It became really late. And then on the way back, we stopped at the club, and we drank more tea, ate more cashew nuts. Strangers. But in that moment, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So as you get older, the biggest risk is loneliness, because the children are gone, and the grandchildren have their own lives, and the friends are gone. So these connections become more and more important. And the last thing is this: whether we like it or not, we have to learn to accept whatever life gives. I have great difficulty with that. But a few years ago, I was watching an interview with Irfan Khan, and he was dying. He was dying of cancer. And somebody says, Irfan, how are you able to laugh and smile so much when you're dying? And he says, life has no obligation to give me what I expect. So I said, wow, no obligation to give me what I expect. And I liked even more what Dalai Lama says. Happiness lies in liking what you get rather than getting what you like. And so this is a practice again. So let me stop here. As I said, I wanted to get you to think about a variety of things. Look, we all make a great fuss about our own lives. I certainly do. But the reality is, we're an irrelevant speck in Shrishti. We're an irrelevant speck. All this sense of importance, significance, they show our ignorance. Our lives matter to nobody except ourselves. And ultimately, this is from my teacher, by the way. I had this teacher, Jim March. And he says, ultimately, when you look at your last moment, what will matter is two things: whether you walked gently on the earth, and whether you left it slightly more beautiful than you found it. So, I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you so much. And Dinkar, I'm now open for questions.
So that's how it works. We will have our volunteers beside you. When you ask your question, I would request you to introduce yourself so that we can note it down, and then give you the books that sir has promised already. So with the beginning, we are starting with the question coming from our director HR sir, Shri Manish Kumar sir. I would request any of the volunteer to kindly come and hand over the mic to sir.
Yesterday he asked for a book. I said, you have to ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Sir, this is Manish, Director HR from NCL. Sir, my curiosity is related with AI. Before asking the question, I will like to give you two information which I read long back. Gary Kasparov, the chess champion, lost to the computer in 1996. Today it is 2025, sir. Now we are asking about AI, chat GPT and all the things. We just now, the Wimbledon is over. In the Wimbledon, we saw that the lines has been replaced by the AIs. So there is a 30 years gap, sir. So why we are so much afraid about AI, number one? And should not we draw a line from where the AI should not invade us? That is my question, sir.
Beautiful. Good question. Should I take it or should we take 2-3 questions? Okay, the word AI was actually developed and first used in 1956. Okay, I studied AI at Purdue in 1985, which means it is actually 60, 70 years old. Every time we think it's about to happen, and it hasn't happened. Finally, there's been a complete breakthrough in the science and the power of computers. See, those days, computers were not very powerful. Today, because the cost of silicon has come down so much, these are incredibly powerful. So you're able to crunch all the world's data and information in a very short period of time. So that's what the breakthrough with OpenAI was in December of 2022. So I think we has seen a complete breakthrough in AI capability. And the difference between Watson, which was able to defeat Gary Kasparov. Sorry? Oh, Deep Blue. It was IBM Deep Blue that was able, which then became Watson, derivative became Watson. Deep Blue was a very specific purpose computer. It was programmed only to play chess. Today, I think these are the large language models, LLMs, are very, very general purpose. So I think it's a completely different game. It's way scarier and so forth. Now, what can we draw boundaries? It would be nice to be able to draw boundaries, but it's not possible to. So, for instance, Bill Gates was amongst those trying to say, look, maybe we should all agree, like nuclear weapons, to not develop beyond a point. But the problem is, if a Chinese company develops it and these fellows don't, then it's going to be a big issue. So we are in an arms race where nobody can afford to drop out. Okay? It is also very difficult to regulate. This afternoon or at Jayant Mind, we were talking about that question. Why can't government put a law that says, no, you can't displace people using AI? Well, that doesn't work. Banning things doesn't work too well. We remember when computers were first introduced in public sector banks and in LIC, and the unions protested a lot. So that slowed down computerization, but it didn't stop it. They had to give some assurances that jobs would not be lost. If somebody's role went away, they would be given a different role, etc. But these things, it is impossible to stop progress, because then somebody else will progress. Some other country will leap ahead. So unfortunately, we're in this very bad situation where it is hard to regulate, it is hard to control. So we need more leadership, back to that point. We need leadership from the CEOs of companies which are developing these technologies. And we need an arms control treaty between countries that agree that we won't use. For instance, nowadays many weapons are autonomous. A lot of the drones are completely autonomous, but they still have a human in the loop. but we're just one step away from where a terrorist can develop a drone which is completely AI driven, has your face on it, and it'll hunt you down. And it'll be impossible to detect who did it. So we need to have laws that prevent these kinds of developments, but that can only be done by, like a nuclear test ban treaty. We need to have an AI treaty between the countries. And given the fact that right now the trust between countries is at an all-time low, that seems difficult. So I think we're in a very, very, very difficult phase right now.
Good evening, sir. Your lecture has been very much relevant to me. Myself, Jitendra Malik, I retired recently as Director Technical from Northern Coalfields Limited. So, a number of takeaways from your lecture. My question has been that you have written a book, what the heck do I do with my life? And this has been probably the question which existed in 5th and 6th century in the time also, when there was no technology, no AI, no computers. Even during those times, humanity tried to find how to remain happy and what was the purpose of life. And in 21st century, even now, when we have all these AI, we have these computers, all technologies, but still we haven't been able to find answer to this. In technological advancement, we are still so much in stress, so much distressed. We have this Russian-Ukraine war. We are having this Israel and Iran war, and what may not come, we don't know, sir. So have we found a complete answer to this, how we can find the meaning of life?
Yeah. No, it's a very profound question. When I wrote my book, in the first page I said, one of my challenges, this question has been raised and answered by the greatest philosophers of all time, in Hinduism, in Greek philosophy. So only thing that's different is context. The situation today is different from what it was in the past, but otherwise these questions have been answered. And their answer is probably still the right answer, that all our progress is outwards, whereas the real progress we need to make as humanity is inwards. And that is what we have not yet done, which we can do only individually. There's a great scientist who just died at Harvard, and he said humanity's problem is this, that we have monkey-like brains, we have medieval institutions, and we have godlike technology. So if you give monkeys godlike technology and don't put regulation, what will happen? That's what's happening. So we need to work on these issues very much. The problem is things are spinning out of our control and spinning out of our ability to now manage it. Climate change, for instance. It's now very difficult to see how we can get this back. AI, the genie is out of the bottle. How do you put it back in? Biological warfare. We don't know where this will go. COVID was an early example of that. So the question, we are in completely uncharted territory. And I suppose this is what Kali Yuga begins to look like. And the best we can do is make a decision to go inside on the spiritual journey ourselves, individually. It's harder to do collectively. The journey, as Gandhiji said, be the change you wish to see in the world. So you start with yourself. Maybe some others will also join in that process. That's the only way I see it. But I think we're in an extremely difficult point in time in every part of the world. Let's, Dinkar, why don't we get 3-4 questions at a time in the interest of time, then we'll just handle it thematically. Please.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Myself, Sanjeev Kumar, GM Production, NCL. It was just said we should like what we have got. But don't you think it restricts us for keep on trying for betterment? I just want a clarification.
Yeah. No more question. I think I have asked myself the same question. Should you just stop trying? Okay. And the answer come to is what the Gita says. You strive, but you learn to accept whatever the fruits are. That is so difficult. It is so difficult. After 62 years of trying, I still struggle with it. But I have learned humbly to accept it. A week ago, my friend was in a hospital. He was in the ICU. And it was a very famous hospital. I knew the founder and all the doctors. I pushed to do whatever to save him. And in the end, it became obvious that he's in God's hands. So all you do is pray. So I think what we have to do is make that effort, but then accept what you get. And this is, as I said, I'm not in a position to give any lectures on that, but it's an effort that I make.
I am Dr. Shishir Datta, sir, from CMPDI. Yeah, I have two questions, sir. One is that going forward, it's the age of AI. So, global business leader, apart from this new age companies, the old big companies, infra companies, would we see a person having a generalized various domain knowledge, or a specialist kind of people as a leadership role?
Very excellent question.
Second question, sir, as in a
Does he get 2 books? No, okay.
may I ask you one question,
Please,
sir?
please.
Yeah. So, as people are using generic AI for their presentation, this words and all that, and a lot of company information may be used in the AI, and the server is there in some other company. So, as of now, there is no law in the company as such. And second thing, how this agentic AI would give an limitation to the opportunities of employability in India, particularly in the infra sector, sir.
Big questions.
Thank you.
So great questions, very big questions. The quick answer. Look, the thing you have to realize today is every business is a technology business. So Coal India is a technology business. Your Kirana shop is a technology business. And we have to think about what does AI mean in this business context, and we have to reinvent it. The problem which we were talking about is today most companies are approaching AI as a technology issue. It's not a technology issue. It's not about technology. It's actually about how decisions are made, who has power. So it has to do with the org chart. It has to do about reorganizing away from departments around processes and workflows. And because that is so difficult a change, established companies, traditional companies, infrastructure companies, struggle to really embrace AI really fast. But this is the shift that we will have to make, all of us. And the ones that make it faster will do better. Question of generalist versus specialist. I think that's a great question, and almost now everybody feels the right profile is a T. The T profile is where you have some specialist, some deep knowledge, and then you are a generalist on top of that. So if you take my career, I've been able to go from diesel engines to software to IT services to banking, venture capital, renewable energy, because I have some depth in mechanical engineering. And on top of that, I'm a very, very broad generalist. I think we all need to work on that, developing that T profile. Did I answer your question? Good. Okay.
Hello,
Hanji.
sir. I am Ramesh Thakur. Sir, yeah, so in your lecture, you detail about how people who are approaching their retirement can pursue happiness. But for someone who has just joined the workforce, for the people like us, how in this day and age we can become happy and also at the same time pursue success in life?
Ooh, very good question. I don't know. Because when I was your age, I was striving, seen as very successful, and very unhappy. Okay? So in fact, in my book, I talk about the fact that one of the mistakes that ambitious people make is we believe success will bring happiness. Okay? So you keep striving. You say, if I really push myself, I get recognized, I get promoted, I get an award, I'll be happy. And in that moment, you're happy. And then it's back. You have to do it again. So you're on a treadmill. And in order to get happiness, you have to pedal faster and faster or run faster and faster to get the same hit. And one day when you're 45 or so, you'll realize, boss, this is not sustainable. This is not worth it. And then you decide to get off the treadmill or do something different, which is what I did. So right now, I would say that my advice to you is work really hard. Make a success of yourself. You know, one of the things that Swami Vivekananda said is if you're trying to meditate and your mind is thinking only of jalebis, then the best thing is to stop meditating, eat a lot of jalebis, and then sit down. Okay? And then concentrate. So my advice is, if you want to be successful, and then stop thinking about other things, saving the world. Be successful, and then pursue purpose and all that. Get it out of your system, this need to be successful. Okay? So that's my practical advice.
Namaskar, sir. I'm DK Singh, Project Officer Jayant.
I know, we spend all morning together. So.
Thank you, sir. मॉर्निंग में सर मॉर्निंग में मैं बोल रहा था, आप बहुत शांति से सुन रहे थे. मैं जयंत में का प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहा था. तो उसी दौरान आपने बताया कि बिजनेस में मस्ट बी काइंड टू ह्यूमन. और जैसा अभी हमने सुना, आपदा में भी अवसर. तो क्या ये कंट्राडिक्टरी नहीं है? कोई मान लीजिए कोई आपदा में है, कोई प्रॉब्लम में है. जैसे आपदा में अवसर का दो पार्ट है. एक है कहीं इमरजेंसी आ गई है, हम उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए अपना बिजनेस बढ़ा रहे हैं, वो तो ठीक है. लेकिन कोई अगर संकट है, कोई आपदा में है, उसका हम फ़ायदा ले रहे हैं, तो ये दोनों क्या कंट्राडिक्टरी नहीं है, अनएथिकल नहीं है?
I'm having some difficulty comprehending. Just translate.
So he's trying to say that there are two statements.
Yeah.
One is that we should be grateful to the people who are working along with us.
Yes.
The second statement goes that you should look for opportunity in even at the disaster situation.
Yes.
So in a disaster situation,
Yeah.
when you are going to get something done, you
Yeah.
might have to do something which is not nice to the people you work with.
Yeah.
So are these two are contradictory to each other or not? That is the question.
Wow, these are deep philosophical questions. It's well beyond my ability to answer. But again, I would go back to what Krishna tells Arjuna on the battlefield in Mahabharata, which is, in that situation, you have to decide what is your duty and do your duty. And if that requires you to kill somebody, you have to kill someone. Okay? But that requires great wisdom to decide that. But no, but it's a very important question. So recently, Microsoft, my old company, laid off first 9,000 people and 15,000 people in 2 weeks. And they were sent, these are people who had worked anywhere up to 25, 30 years. And they were the ones who were building the AI, and Microsoft said, thank you very much, kal se mat aana. Okay, after 25 years of service. Meanwhile, the company's profits have reached record levels. So this for me is a classic violation of the principle, which is to do something you are actually squeezing blood from stones. And I see a lot more of this. There are a lot of ethical dilemmas, but I think the answer, whenever there's an ethical dilemma, is to be found in our Shastras, particularly the Gita. It's the only practical management book I've ever seen.
Sir, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
People talk about that we need to skill ourselves to stay relevant
Yeah.
in this competitive world, because there is a lot of technology changes happening. We as a government company have invested in technology, but we believe that in next 3 years, this technology might not stay relevant. We might get something better. So, as a digital transformationist or a change maker, how should we need to analyze what needs to be done with what technology? Because for a company like Coal India, these technologies needs to be utilized at least for next 5 years, because we are putting a lot of corpus into it.
Yeah. No, it's a very complicated question, and I learned how difficult this is only when I was at Bank of Baroda. The problem is that the speed of decision making in public sector organizations and the speed of make a decision, go through the procurement process, then you deploy things. The people who made the decision have retired, and the technology has moved on. Okay, and you're left with a stranded asset, and then the board is saying, who made that decision? So the way we overcame this to a pretty reasonable extent in BOB, and I think that's my only relevant experience, that's why I keep quoting it, is I decided that technology is core to a bank. A bank is only two things. It's technology and it's people. You can actually say Coal India is also people and technology. So we made technology very central. I created an IT committee of the board, which I was the chair of, and we brought very eminent people from outside also onto this technology IT committee of the board. So we had Professor Pathak from IIT Bombay, and we had another famous CIO. And what we were able to do is create both a roadmap and an overall very, very flexible architecture for our systems. Okay, so it was a lot of microservices, and so you're able to, as technology moves and applications become redundant, you're still able to keep moving. The other thing we did was made some fundamental technology choices. We bet on Microsoft as a cloud service provider, and so you make a few choices, believing that these companies will have a roadmap for a long term. Then this is really interesting. We created an IT subsidiary, and in the IT subsidiary we brought Accenture and IBM as joint venture, have access to the latest technology. These things have kept BOB fairly current. Even, you know, I've been gone from the bank now since 2018, so 7 years, and they're still doing extremely well. I think that's a way of addressing the mismatch of speeds between a PSU and technology. I don't know if it's helpful, but this was quite successful, I think, at the bank.
I think in the audience we have change makers also. So
they all got it.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
May
I speak? May I speak?
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
And then the lady here, please.
Sorry. Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, with your varied experience from Cummins to Bank of Baroda to Infosys to renewables, right now you partly addressed public sector concerns. Sir, what are the core values you will ask us to follow through your experiences, so that, you know, we can
the center. Okay, that without that there's no possibility of doing anything. Almost any company will say integrity is important, you know, so these sorts of things. I think there were one or two things that I learned from Microsoft which are incredibly important. In Microsoft, and you asked me to tell some Bill Gates stories, so one is, as a manager, You can have a problem. You could have missed your targets. You could have failed on your project delivery. And that was fine as long as you said, I missed. Here's how we will correct it. If somebody else had to point out that you had missed, it was shameful and you were likely not to be in the company very long. This value called, okay? So you should be able to point out your own shortcomings and say, here's how we will address it. And this is where I need help. अगर किसी और को बोलना पड़े, then it's a big problem. So I love this value because there's no cover up possible. The second core value in Microsoft or not, you're able to challenge something. So for Bill Gates, what mattered is what is right, not who is right. And you get respect in the company when you challenge Bill intellectually. So in 2007, I was new in the company. I was just 3.5 years in the company. Bill had come to India one day and with his wife Melinda. And it was a long day in Delhi. And at 11 o'clock, we were sitting in his private plane trying to fly to Chennai. And he was tired, I was tired, Melinda was tired, the three of us were sitting. And Bill asked me some question. I gave an answer, and he said, that's wrong. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So I said, I'm sorry, Bill. I think you're wrong. And we got into an argument for about 20 minutes. And I was also tired, so I said, why should I let him win? Okay, I'm right. Finally, he said, well, I guess you're right. And then Melinda gave him a $1 bill and a pen and said, Bill, what do you do? And he wrote, I was wrong, Bill Gates, and gave it to me. And I framed this on my wall. Why do I say this? Because for Bill, what matters is that you have, as a junior, you have the courage to challenge something. And it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, but you have conviction. That's what got you respect in that company. In most of our companies, the boss is always right, okay? And so I think these are some of the things that the best companies do versus the merely good companies. Anyway, sorry. One last question, sir.
Good evening, sir.
The lady
so I
has
think
to get,
there are plenty of questions coming in. And
Dinkar, she wanted it, and I'm going to give it. She's got the mic too, so that's.
Thank you, sir.
So, ma'am.
So myself is Dr. Molina Chaurasia from NSCGN. Sir, I just want to ask one thing. My area is of anesthesia, but I find that there are certain, in this company, which is having many versatile leaders, sometimes I have to go beyond my area to another area and help out there. So this is in this company, I found it very helpful people, and I'm blessed with my seniors who have given me chance to flourish.
Yes, beautiful.
So my question was only one thing, that we have to, sometimes we have to go beyond our safety areas and then do the work. And this is one of the leadership qualities.
Exactly. So when I talked about leadership, I said the central quality of a leader is that you see what needs to be done and then you go do it. Yes. You don't look at just
tubular vision.
Yeah, you don't get into tunnel vision, and you work with whoever is needed to solve that problem.
Yes,
that is leadership, and I'm sure Coal India needs a lot of it. Our country needs a lot more of it. So well done. Thank you.
Sir.
Okay. So
with this, sir, we are almost done with the Q&A session. I'm taking the last question coming from our Director of Finance, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What do I do with my life? That's a question not only for me, but I believe that strikes the chord with all of the audience and maybe all those who will later come to know about this one. So what I understand, sir, from this that this is a struggle of finding a purpose in life. So, are there ways to find a purpose in life? Number one. Number two, if you find a purpose, then there are inhibitions. Basically, there is what I can say is the fear of failure is
Yes.
one of the aspect. And then for the people like us in the comfort of public sector, is the living out of the comfort zone. So how to handle this? And as an organization, I'd also like, if many of us find purpose in life, how do we run our organization?
Beautiful. This is so deep. So thank you so much for asking this last question. So in fact, I devote a lot in my book to how do you actually do it. And the way I did it, and many people have done it, is by doing experiments. Okay? So let's say you're not sure. Okay? So I may think, I love teaching. From time to time when I take a class, I really enjoy it. Maybe I should go do more and more of teaching, but I'm not sure. Okay? Or maybe it is social service. Okay? Samaj Seva. I want to do more of that, but I'm not sure. So what I say is, start doing small experiments. Okay? Go to, if you think you're going to enjoy teaching, then find an institution where you can be a guest lecturer for some whole semester and see whether you enjoy it. Sometimes we think we'll enjoy it, but it actually becomes burdensome when you try it. Or you may love it and say, that's it, that's really what I want to do more of. Samaj Seva, start volunteering on Saturdays with some organization. See if you actually enjoy it. So what I suggest is try these small experiments to feel your way to the future. So when I left Microsoft, I didn't have any sense of purpose, what I wanted to do. So I tried, I did a startup, and I found I really don't enjoy it because I've run very big companies. Okay? So this chota company with 10 people struggling to raise finances, that's really not my cup of tea. But everybody in Bangalore is doing a startup, so I also started it. But I realized that's not me. Then I started something in the social sector, something called Social Venture Partners. That became quite big. That has led to Rockefeller Foundation, Global Energy Alliance. So that turned out to be my path. So there were many false starts. For instance, I was going to bring Amazon to India. This is 2011. Amazon was not yet in India. And I said, I want to bring them in, but this time not as an employee, but as a partner. So I went to Mr. Narayan Murthy, and I said, boss, under the FDI rules, they need an Indian partner. You put up the money, I'll put up the brain power. And we connected him to Jeff Bezos. Some months went by, nothing happened. And one day Mr. Murthy said, hey, thanks for that introduction, we've agreed to partner. So I had no role. So I'm saying that not all experiments are successful, but by doing this, you find your path. Now back to the second question, which is great. If everybody finds their purpose, how do we run Coal India or NCL? It's a great question. So what Bill said is, Bill told me, think about Microsoft as a canvas, a white empty canvas or wall, and draw whatever you want on that wall. So that means you can draw within that framework, find your purpose within the context of Coal India. Find your purpose within the context of the company. So there's this fantastic story of the 3 bricklayers. We know the story of the 3 bricklayers? 3 mason log kaam kar rahe the. So somebody comes and asks, what are you doing? Aap dekh nahi pa rahe? I'm just laying bricks. Somebody said, I'm building a wall. The third person looks up at the sky and said, main to mandir bana raha hu. So same work, one fellow has found purpose. So we have to look for purpose within our company. That's what I would ask us to do. Thank you very much. Great questions. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, in a developing country like ours, we have so many challenges. I mean, with the new tariff laws coming in, with these technological changes like AI, we have huge unemployment problem. We have some people, some young people who are doing really well. Like you took the name of Perplexity, Arvind Srinivas. I also watched his interview. What are the traits and what our education system and overall environment we need to improve so that we are able to compete in this ever-changing, challenging times world over?
Fantastic question again. See, because we have 1.4 billion people, we have great human strength. And there are millions of undiscovered Arvind Srinivasas out there. Probably in this room, probably in Singrauli as well. But we don't know how to discover them. The problem is our education system is like education system in most countries is designed in the 19th century. It is completely unfit for today's world. What it teaches is ratta, mugging up facts. What it teaches is obedience. What it teaches is compliance, all exam taking, these kinds of things. What is needed is creativity and entrepreneurship. That you should see a problem, have an idea, and be able to go and do something with it. So that's what we are teaching in 10,000 government schools. And we do it through a practical program. Okay? So one of the things an entrepreneur has to do is solve problems, and you have to work in teams, because as an individual you can't do much. So how do you teach school children how to solve problems and work in teams? So we don't give them a presentation or a class on it. We said, chalo bache, form groups, and you should make the highest possible thing in this room. So they get working. So they first put the desk, then they'll put the school bags or books on it, and something else. Then 3 kids will sit on it like this, then somebody will stand on top, whatever. They'll make something as tall as possible. And this teaches them problem solving, creativity, working in teams. Okay? Or we'll say, make a paper aeroplane with your weak hand. So if you're right-handed, you can make it only with your left hand, and you have to fly it and see. This teaches you persistence, that you can't give up by being frustrated. So like this, we've got all sorts of practical things. Then the summer holidays come. We give them 1,000 rupees each, and they have to form groups, and they have to launch a business and run it in the summer holidays for 3 months. They can keep the profit, and they have to return the 1,000. 92% of the teams make a profit. Okay, 92%, 8% lose some money. Okay, the point is, this is how you develop this mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset. By the way, all our stuff is open source. So afterwards, if I can show you the link to the website, all the curriculum is there. Unfortunately, I don't think we are running this in MP yet, but we'd love to. Okay, boss.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
So put your hands together for our speaker, and don't look for opportunity, create one is my takeaway from this whole discussion, sir. Now we have come to the end of our entire program. Sir, I would request CMD sir, Shri Sairam sir, to kindly come on stage to present a memento. Another one for you, sir. Just a small token of appreciation, sir.
What is this? अरे मैं कैसे ले जाऊंगा?
It's a Mriganeni art is there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Madhya Pradesh tribal art is there.
Thank you. जबरदस्त पैकिंग किया उसका. We're nearly there. Something. Dinner for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, it's gorgeous. Wow. Thank you. स्टिकर नहीं चाहिए?
नहीं ठीक ठीक.
वो बोल.
Yes yes.
मैं ऐसे
किनारे
पकड़.
ना वहाँ सारे लोग नहीं देख पा रहे. इसको हटा कैमरामैन को हटा. यहाँ यहाँ.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you, sir. And again, I would request a huge round of applause for the entire evening. At the end, to present some gratitude, I would request Director HR, Shri Manish Kumar sir, to kindly come forward and present a vote of thanks to all of us.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Ravi sir. Sir, coming out of from our mundane routine and listening to you is like a whiff of fresh air, sir. We have found it very enthralling, very captivating, and very relatable, sir. It is connecting to us, sir. Sir, for me especially, I think listening to you, sir, is a fulfillment of a latent need for me, sir. I think so in that way, sir. And I thank everybody who has come down here, right from the CMD sir and DM sir to everybody, to the MTs also. I think it is a great learning experience, and we should request Coal India to organize the same programs again and again. Thanks everybody for coming here, and thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now we will proceed for dinner. And one more thing, as sir has promised that sir will give his personally autographed book of his own to the anyone who will ask questions, and here we are. Please put your hands together for the night. And I would request everyone to please stay down. First, let's the guest go out for dinner, and then others can proceed. Thank you.